In this video, we are going to give a high-level overview of the CRM system that's built into Lizzy. There's a lot of different aspects of the CRM module and its integration into the rest of the business system. So it's not something we're going to be able to cover every single thing that exists in here, but I just want to kind of give a high-level overview of what things you have the ability to do. And then you can dive into those specific elements to try to learn more about the system on your own. Now, obviously, there will be videos on most everything we're going to be talking about in an individual nature. But so what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to give the sales rep the ability to track a customer from the time he enters the dealership until they leave. Also, the telephone calls, email transactions, texting, all of that kind of stuff that the sales rep would be performing with the customer, but to give you the ability to have all of that information not only in Lizzy but related to that specific sales event. So one of the things that we do that's a little bit different in Lizzy than most of the other CRM systems is we have what we call topics. A topic may be the customer comes in to actually look at a CBR 1000, or they're looking at a Yamaha, or whatever it happens to be. That event is actually the topic. The reason that we do this is because then what will happen is every telephone call, every face-to-face, every correspondence that we have related to that customer and related to that particular that particular topic is going to get logged together. So if I go in to look at the correspondence on a contact record, for example, and they've been in talking to the service department and they've had invoices and they've had part sales and special orders and all this kind of stuff, and all of those things have got correspondence related to them, I can drill into the one specific sales event that I'm looking at and be able to see quickly all the telephone calls, all the emails, all the texting that's been going back and forth between the sales rep and the customer. Another nice feature is that every single person in the company can see this correspondence. So if the customer calls in wanting some information, and the sales rep or the parts person or the service person has already answered them or has attempted to call them, everyone else is aware of this fact and can communicate it with the customer immediately instead of having to hunt Bob down to try to ask him whether or not he's called him or not. So the first key element about the system, and if you think about it, it's what makes sense for all of the correspondence that you're going to have with customers, is that we have to locate a contact to look at first. So to do that, we've got a number of different ways that you can find a contact. We're going to be drilling in today specifically with the sales department menu so that we can kind of see the features that are in the sales department, or in specifically with respect to tracking sales opportunities. So in the sales department, we've got a contacts menu here. We're going to click it and we're going to click on locate contact. Now, the locate contact control inside of Lizzy is actually multifaceted. It not only allows me to locate contacts, but in the advanced section, it allows me to export customer lists to upload to email campaigns. I can export the list. I can do mass emailings directly in Lizzy. So there's a lot of extra features that I'm not going to get into in this particular video, but there are a lot of things available inside of the advanced search. The other thing that's kind of handy about the search is that it's got a list of all the specific fields that you're going to be locating. So instead of performing like a Google search where I'm putting in Bob Smith and anywhere in the system that Bob Smith shows up, it's going to give me a hit. This allows me to basically say that I'm looking for anybody with a last name of Smith and a first name of Bob. It also allows us to not have to type in an entire name. So if I'm not sure about how to spell a particular's name, what we can do is we could just type in MCC, for example, and put in Joy. Or I could have just put in J-O, and you can see there's a lot of Joes and Johns So the more information that we put in, the more specific our search results are. But it gives you the ability to very quickly find the customer. And you'll also notice that we're getting immediate feedback down here at the bottom. So instead of having to put in some information, hit a search button, and then see what comes back, I'm actually getting the information immediately when the search is being performed. So if I wanted to locate this particular contact, we're just going to select the magnifying glass here, and it brings up that particular contact's record. Now, when a contact record comes up, we have a lot of information that shows up here. And again, we're not going to get into all of the specifics, but in this particular example, the lack of information that's here, for example, I'm not seeing any open opportunities or last contacted by. So I've basically got a contact record here and not really a whole lot of information as to what's going on with them. So I can very quickly make the assumption that there is nothing really going on with this particular customer. Now I'm going to jump back over here to my home screen for a second. And you'll notice that when I log in, I've got a lot of interested customers that are already here. So these are customers that I had already started opportunities with. And so every time I log in, all of the important customers that I've got here are all here and ready to work with. Now, this gets us to something that there's a lot of argument with, or at least discussion, and that is with opportunities. Some dealerships classify an opportunity as every single customer that walks in, and to some degree that is absolutely true. Every customer that walks in the door has the potential, or you have the opportunity to sell them something. The problem is that if you treat every single customer that walks in the door as an opportunity, then you lose sight of the real opportunities that you're really wanting to target. So an example is a customer walks in the door and he's kicking the tires and he's just asking about prices. He has no specific unit in mind. He's just there looking around. If you classify him as an opportunity and you already had 10 actual customers that you think you're going to be closing in the next 10 days, then you've got 11 and 12 and 13 and 14, and the next thing you know, you've got 100 customers tagged as opportunities that you're having to sort through to try to find the one that you're actually pretty sure you're going to be able to close. Now, we do have the ability to tag opportunities as hot. So not only would we have an opportunity, but we could say this is a hot opportunity. But again, I recommend keeping the opportunities to a minimum and trying to make sure that they are the serious ones that we really do think that we're going to close, or that we have some opportunity to close, instead of just tagging every single customer that walks in the door as an opportunity. Now, you can do either. There's just a recommendation, from my experience, but the system allows you to do either one. If you want to tag them, every single one as an opportunity, that's fine. So as an example, these are the only ones that I have classified as opportunities, and I'm going to select them here, but you'll notice that we have the ability to edit. This would allow us to edit the opportunity information. We can click this icon to view them. We can click this icon to log a telephone call so that we start a correspondence with them. We can click the history button to actually open up all of the existing correspondence that we already have about that particular customer. So there's quite, and also you can email them if you have an email, and there'll be a text icon if you have a texting address for them. So I'm just going to select this one just to kind of show the difference between the earlier contact we looked at and this one. So here you can see that we actually have interested units or interested information in an opportunity. By the color code here, we can see that they got all the way up to a demo ride, and you can also see that they've been tagged as a hot lead. And these flags that if you will, the levels that you walk through are all customizable, so the dealership can set them any way they want. So at this point, I'm going to show you how to log a new correspondence. So let's say the customer's he's come back in, I've located them, and now I'm going to come up here and we're going to select new correspondence. So from here, we can do face-to-face, log a call. I'm just going to tell it I want to log a call. And well, in this case, let's cancel out of there because we said they walked in. So we'll do a face-to-face. Now over here on the right, we have the open opportunities that we have, or the open topics that we want to relate this to. So in this case, he's come in about the CBR 1000. So I'm going to select the link to link this particular correspondence that we have with the correspondence that we had already started, or the topic that we had already started. Now from here, we can see view interested units, which will open up and show us a list of units that he's interested in purchasing. Now, if there's images available on that unit, they'll show up here as well. So this is basically linking to your existing inventory, or it's linking to a particular model number that they may be interested in that you don't have. And you'll also notice that we can add additional units in here as well as trades. So not only are we able to track the units that the customer is actually interested in looking at, but we also have the ability to get their trade information. And then through that sales department module, you have the ability to search on this information to see if perhaps you've had another customer come in wanting to trade in a unit that this customer is actually looking to purchase. So there's a lot of valuable information here in the interested unit section. So from this perspective, we'll just say that we spoke with Amy, and we'll put in the details of the conversation, and then we can also schedule a callback. So this is another point of contention with a lot of dealerships and how they want to do their correspondence. Customers don't like to be hounded. The dealership, however, wants to close deals. I mean, it needs to close deals. So there's a fine line between hounding the customer and turning them off to where they don't want to come in your dealership anymore because you're calling them too much, and not losing contact with the customer, making them feel like you don't care. So you can have Lizzy set up automatic callbacks where it just automatically sets the callback in 2 days. The problem is that by doing that, you're not looking at that specific salesperson's calendar to see if they're even in the dealership on that day, or do they have meetings, or are they already booked up and there's no possible way they're going to call all of these customers on that particular day. So we leave it up to the sales rep most of the time to determine when they want to call that customer. And usually it is recommended to be a conversation with the customer to determine whether or not they want to be called. You know, Bob, is it okay if I call you back on Tuesday just to check in? No, how about Wednesday, Tuesday, I'm going to be out of town. You know, whatever it happens to be. And so what happens here is right now you can see that there was a callback scheduled for December the 7th. Well, even if I don't talk to the customer, I'm going to keep pushing this date to call back forward. And so what I end up with, and Lizzy helps me keep track of this, is I can see all of the missed calls, the calls that I was supposed to make on 12/7. They stay in a folder for me to keep control of. But as I move forward, the system keeps pushing them forward, and it allows me to pick a day that I can actually work with. So as an example, I didn't call them back here. They tell me to call them back next Tuesday. So we're going to select the callback. We're going to come in here, and what I'm going to do on this particular one is I'm just going to come in and we're going to pick next Tuesday to call them back. Actually, I need to get into February. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say we're going to call them back on the 13th. And this is an all-day event. They didn't give me a specific time to call them back. So anytime on that day, I'm going to be trying to call them back. And so then we just save it. And so now you can see that the correspondence that we have here, it has been set to the 13th. So it's a very quick process to be able to go in and schedule or reschedule a call. You'll also notice up here that we've got probabilities, close dates, whether it's a really hot lead or not, the initial purchase amount, and then if there's any recurring amount, depending on your business and what you're trying to do. The opportunity, none of this stuff is actually required. The opportunity being created is the main part. If you start getting into interested units, the ones that they're interested in doing, all of those things are actually tied to the opportunity. So at the point that you start getting into a conversation about a specific unit and you want to start tracking that information, you're going to actually turn that into an opportunity at that point. It has become serious enough a conversation that we should start to track them as a possible opportunity. So the view interested units control is actually part of that opportunity. And it also allows you to have multiple topics. Maybe they were interested in a CBR 1000. Now they're interested in a completely different thing a month later. We can create a whole new opportunity for that other event and start tracking the correspondence with it separately from the original opportunity that had come in a month ago. So it's pretty flexible as to how you're going to track these correspondences. So, in a nutshell, we have the ability to track the calls, the face-to-faces, emails, texting. Again, pretty much every correspondence that you would have, they're all tagged to that topic. You have the ability to flag them as opportunities. And then if we go back over here to the sales department again, and this is also another key element of Lizzy, is you'll notice that this call log or this face-to-face is staying up, which allows me to continue talking to Amy. I can go in and create quotes. I can go in and schedule events. I can do all kinds of stuff and keep that call event running in the background. And so at any time I can pop it back up, add a few more details, and continue my conversation with them, not breaking stride in what's going on. So I'm not having to continue to go back and reopen another topic and all that kind of stuff. Now, another really cool feature about Lizzy is up here in the header, you'll notice this little gray box with the pencil. This is a very, very useful tool that very few people use, but it actually, the people that do use it love it. It gives me the ability on the fly to be able to add a sales note. Now, this is not part of the correspondence. It's things like, the guy's daughter is in the hospital, or, just details so that when I open up this correspondence record, I can, within a few sentences, see exactly who they are, what they're about, and what they're after. And any other details that I want to store. So it allows everybody in the dealership, if they see that button show up red, so let's add a detail, and we'll save it, and you'll notice that now the button is red. So anytime I see a red note, it lets me know that there's some detail about this customer that's stored there that I can access quickly to be able to see or to be able to get my relationship with them a little bit more personal. So that sales note is very, very useful. You also have the ability to track lead sources, so you can see what advertising is working and what's not. And then on the sales reps book, when they first open this up, it tells them how many calls they've got to make, how many calls are scheduled, all of the information about the customer and about their opportunities and things for that particular day, along with a date up here to pick another day if they want to view it. Now, in addition to the sales rep being able to see this, on the sales manager, if I go back over to home, if I'm the sales manager, I can actually open up the sales department and see all of the individual sales reps and how many opportunities each one of them have, how many calls they've got scheduled for that day, how many calls they've made for that particular day. So I've got quite a bit of view of all of the different sales reps and how they're performing on a given day. So the point here with respect to correspondence and customers is that within Lizzy, I have the ability to literally track every single thing that is going on between the sales rep and the customer. And then in the next video, we'll start to get into some of the more details about doing quotes and working with this actual serialized equipment, being able to do jobs and that type of thing. But on a broad overview, the big point is that locating the customer is always first, and then once you locate them, start a correspondence. pick a topic or create a topic and then start linking all of the correspondence that you have with them into that particular topic that eventually becomes an opportunity and hopefully eventually becomes a sale.